All right, so still on the same matter, and joining us now to weigh in on the subject matter, we've got Onyekachi Adekoya. He's a fellow of Nigerian Institute of Industrial Security. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
We also do have Matthias Sado, who is a convener, Hope Platform Initiative, and also was a former presidential aspirant of the ADP. Thank you for joining us as well on the program.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, let me start with you, Mr. Adekoya. Well, one records, industrial security taking a hit too as well, I guess. But looking at this whole episode and how they are playing out, particularly the recent narratives of the leadership of the National Assembly, do you think, does that in any way suggest to you that, wait a minute, are they just being political or just pointing out some gaps that may exist if we're to sort the problem out, really and truly?
So we have to face the facts of the matter at hand. What the Senate President said is also correct, though it's a backhand way of hitting back at the governors. It is said generally in law, he that comes to equity must at least come with clean hands. So the state governors from the south have come together to make certain demands of the Nigerian state. The critical question is the administration of criminal justice in itself, in those states, how is it faring? How the local government faring in those states? So if you cannot clean house first, you then will point to Abuja, as we so conveniently do, to say there in Abuja is your problem. So some of the statements which the governors themselves made are very political. And the speakers who spoke earlier spoke very correctly. Let's move beyond talk. Let's see some action. Let's see some laws. At least crystallize some of those and domesticate some of those resolutions in your own state. And if you must, form a regional security network. If you must, declare 1 week of no work in your state so that everybody can go and clean house in their respective communities. If you must, let us see some action on the ground. Talk is cheap. Talk is very cheap because it is true what the National Security Advisor was talking about. In 2019, we drafted and published a national security strategy which said that the new approach in security will be predicated on first human security. And you must deal with the other social issues. You can't have social order if you don't have social justice. And the social justice system is failing in the states. So you can arrest people, you can't prosecute them effectively. You can arrest them and prosecute them, you can't correct them because correctional services are almost non-existent. So there are challenges, and the challenges are systemic. But as to why we are where we are today, the problem generally is politics.
Wow.
Politics.
Mr. Sado, right there in Kaduna, I'm sure this meeting, the resolutions might have resonated. So what are your immediate thoughts about the demands, recommendations, and what we should be doing moving forward?
Well, thank you very much, Chamberlain, for having me this morning. Clearly, we have seen the situation of the country, and we can obviously look at leadership as it is at the moment has failed. And the question that people are raising, and I think it's beginning to get to the ears of those who are in government, and the governors of southern part of Nigeria have come up to make a demand, which I think that it's re-echoing what is happening on the streets of the country. Largely, I believe that the leadership from the center, and I will differ a bit from some of the commentaries I've heard. Leadership today, to have effective and successful leadership in a society today, what you need more is influence, not authority. And one of the things that the system in Nigeria have concentrated on is authority. Nobody is thinking about influence. The reason why the president of Nigeria will come out today and vow, like he has always been doing for the past 5-6 years that he's been in government, the president have used the word vow more than 20 times. And after vowing, after making so much soundbite on television, after making so much of political jingles, political statements, it ends there because there is usually no action plan. So what we are facing today and what our conversation should be, in my own opinion, is that we need to change from a talking society to an action society. We need to have a government that does not just
now. Okay, we need to go to break, but we'll take it from there when we come back in just a moment. Welcome back. Mr. Sado, you were making a point about we need to move from talking to doing. What should we be doing now? And
obviously, Chamberlain, in your studio, in China's television, if you have a problem, if you have a technical problem, you call for the technical team to resolve the problem, to solve the problem. You don't call them to come and tell you what the problem is. The Nigerian people elected these people to solve the problems of this country. And for goodness sake, I think we are tired of excuses. We are tired of being asked as citizens of this country to cooperate, to make sacrifices. It is only in this country that I see that leadership is the center of everything that is beneficial, and the people are always in the center of everything that is sacrificial. It doesn't work that way. We should not be talking about, we shouldn't be having these kind of conversations at this point. We should be talking about implementation of the plans of this government for, we should be talking about rounding up this government at the moment and then be counting their achievement. But sadly, here we are having the conversation, having the streets of this country. The reason why I'm having this interview in Kaduna at the moment is because the road to Abuja is not safe. I would have driven down to Abuja to have this interview. And this is the sorriest situation in the country. So how much more words do the government wants to issue now? How much more words do they want to dish out to people? The people are, sincerely speaking, the people are tired. People I listened to the president yesterday, and I sounded a couple of young people, and a lot of them were like just hissing. When it has gotten to that point, then the leadership have lost his mantle. I always say this, that the first and the fundamental responsibility of a leader is the ability to inspire the people to do the things that they want done in a society. If the leader has lost that capacity, he has lost his leadership mantle. So the conversations that we're having at the moment is just nothing but soundbite for televisions. And at the end of the day, the people on the street are suffering. The younger people, the group of people who I speak to, I interact with regularly, are frustrated. A lot of them are exiting the country in droves. How long are we going to continue to have this sound bite come from our leaders without any action plan? The president said that he was going to lift 100 million people out of poverty. That was a sound bite. It was something that a lot of people were deliberating upon, were discussing it on national television for the past 3 years. For the past 3 years, the president made that statement. Up to today, how many millions have been lifted out of poverty in Nigeria? How many jobs have this government been able to create? 774,000 jobs were supposed to be created. Where are they? So these young people are now become volatile. These young people are now become tools in the hands of the criminal enterprise that are recruiting them. You heard very well that recently Boko Haram was giving money to people in Boronu. This is the situation in the country, and we are frustrated. It's painful that the leaders of this country cannot, for one reason, one moment, take responsibility and sit down and have an honest conversation about the way forward for this country.
Well, Mr. Sado, we also recall that the military has since said that that's the report of Boko Haram handing some palliatives, so to speak, to people in the north was not true. But then let me bring this conversation to Mr. Adekoya. Clearly, it would seem like there's a lot of work on one hand to do, but then the partnership between the people that you want to serve and the service you're offering to them seems to have been derogated over the years. So even getting the buying of the people to first of all believe you, then trust that you're going to do what you say is one issue on its own. Then the actions to be taken
to solve the problems. And that's another thing altogether. It would seem like this conundrum is unwinding.
Very well. I think you put it very well. I think that sadly too, and with due respect, profound respect I should say, leadership has become a joke in this country. So the 17th governors from the South came and made a statement. The only thing making the news this morning is the ban on open grazing. Nigeria has the 5th largest head population in Africa. Okay? We cannot even sufficiently meet our dairy demand. We need about 1.4 billion liters of cow milk every year. 99% of the herd are local. We don't even have proper herds for even meeting our nutrition requirements. And we are all about the noise of open grazing this morning in Nigeria. Why do you think that's happening? People want to distract us. You don't like the guy in Kaduna said, action. Action. You talked about a disconnect. It's just because we are two different parallels in this country. Leadership on its own parallel, the people on its own. The people complaining today are still the same people that don't vote. The same people who don't have PVCs. It's a joke. You have in certain states, what are these governors talking about? Some states have 6 million, 7 million, 20 million people in a state. How many are these people troubling the states? Are they up to 5,000? So it will seem like if we were serious in this country, we will find bold steps of stemming some of these issues.
The gentleman asked the question the other time. What action should we be taking on? Now, you're talking about just a few thousands as opposed to the millions of
Absolutely.
people. But then, when your voice is loud on one hand,
yes,
and then your action seems to be louder than just your words, over these thousands of people, you know the Pareto principle and you know the role it can play in this kind of situation.
I think the problem more is the Pareto principle, really, because we are troubled by about maybe 5% of the population of this country. About 95% are seated docile, doing nothing. Action. What action should be happening? Sensitize and conscientize the people in the state, Mr. State Governor. Stop running to Abuja. The governor in Benue is raising certain issues. I didn't see anything to support some of the concerns that the man in Benue is raising in that template communique of the 17 state governors. Because an injustice to one, seemingly, is an injustice to all. It's only a matter of time before that same problem becomes your own problem. One, conscientize the people. Two, organize the people. Give back power back to the local government. There is no gainsaying that. The structure I talked about on set about the fabric of the society, of the Nigerian state. Do we have a Nigerian state in a true sense of it? Or have some very few people hijacked the state? How can 200 million people be held hostage? What's the population size of all the politicians in Nigeria? I dare say they are not up to 10,000. Those holding office. What's the population size of the rest of us? So there's a hijack. The headsman is not our problem. The Mietiala president is not our problem. You know why? When it's time for election, the northern governors make promises to Mietiala. Some of the southern governors, to win their states, make promises to Mietiala. When they win election and come into office, then they leave Mietiala to themselves. And the people begin to fight themselves. There is no Nigerian truly that hates his brother. So why do people kill people? You need to do some research as to why people kill people. If there's a sense of existential threat for economic reason, to keep their businesses thriving, we need to go down to the issues that we have in the state. So if the governors are sincere, we will see sincere actions. And I dare them. I dare them just to round up. Let's begin to see actions from next week. Not just talk.
The president of the Senate did say, it appeared that was a jibe when he says, look, this problem is a failure of the local government system.
Absolutely.
So, and we know the governors are in charge of the states and the local governments. So perhaps is he saying that, look, if you thought that there was a problem that needed to be solved, you need to look in the mirror. Because if you don't let the local government work, this is what you get. So is that what he's saying? Deflating from the fact that we need to have an overall look at the Constitution and then the lopsidedness or inequities that exist.
That's a very fine counter-argument by the Senate president. That's not to say he is not without his own issues and that the president can be completely excused from this, because the problem we have today is a problem of leadership. But yes, I agree. In general principles of security, a sensible and sustainable approach to security, providing solution for security, is a local approach. If you tear off the fabric and the structure of what you call the native authority or local government authority, then you have nothing. There's nobody to hold on to. There's no sense of ownership in the local governments today. You have caretaker committees, sole administrators, appendages, stooges of the governors. There is no democracy, is not even tribal. We insult Lagos and the APC in Lagos all we want, but seemingly elections are taking place in Lagos. In some states, zero by fiat. The Supreme Court gave a judgment, I think, against your state government in some of these similar issues. So when you don't have the chief security officer of the local government elected by the people, owing his true allegiance to the people, not to the governor, these are the issues we will have.
But if that were the case, they want local governments or the governors to do something and strengthen the security apparatus or architecture of their states. The Benue State governor has cried out several times, and it looks as if he wants to move from talking to doing.
Yes.
Now, the complaints, hoopla in some quarters about what he's trying to do with the livestock guards, whether or not he's trying to arm them. Some people are saying, no, we need to stop that. So how do you say on the one hand something needs to be done, and then on the other hand he wants to do something and you say, no, don't do it? What's going on?
What you call a national security strategy, or what you call a national security posture, you can't put something on nothing. The foundation of a national posture is local peace in every local community that enables the government to project force and protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria. This structure is on his head currently, because the force that should project national strength and national peace is busy engaged in over 34 states of the Federation in internal security issues. Nobody's talking about the police. So fundamentally, you have to solve the issue of the local government. And I agree with the Benue State governor. You can't fold your hands and do nothing. And he has not said, he is arming, he has said, I listened to some statement, he said, women become men. Get your cutlasses. You can't stop anybody from owning a cutlass. Get your bows and arrows. At least whatever you have within the limits of the law that you can use to enforce your fundamental right to self-defense. You see? So he's trying to do something. And I'm saying the state governors in the states should stop using Abuja as an excuse. Let the people see what you are doing in your states first. And the people will rise up to support. And Abuja will see that the approach, of course Abuja is saying, that the approach to having a unitaristic system of governance in the administration of security in the country is no longer sustainable. So,
Mr. Adekoya, let me take this to Mr. Sado. The challenge here would probably be engaging the people in terms of doing something. We know the resolutions of the southern governors, even the northern governors also sometime in February, already made it clear as far as they are concerned, open grazing was no longer sustainable, no longer fashionable. But in terms of engaging the people from what Mr. Adekoya has said here, how do you think we should take that on? Because we keep hearing that security is everybody's business. Engaging the people, how?
American politics, you find out that the press team or the president regularly come out, I think on a daily basis, to speak to the media, engage the journalists, and they ask questions, and they get responses, and they get feedback, and some of the things that they say they are acted upon. One of the things that is missing in Nigerian society today is that there is the trust link between the citizens and the government is completely broken. And you need to begin to look for a way to resolve this. I read Femi Adesina's article yesterday about EPL comparing Manchester City and Nigerian government, and asked them saying that Nigerian government or Nigeria will rise again. And yes, I strongly believe that Nigeria will rise as a country. But Nigeria will not rise like playing players that cannot score goals. If Nigeria was going to be like EPL, people like Femi Adesina and Bashir should have been sitting on the bench of incompetence. But at the moment, these are the people that are in the forefront striking for the governments. And so how do you expect expect the country to move forward? How do you expect people to take words from these people's sphere when all that you get from government is savagery, is responses to people instead of government taking initiative? How does the government engage the citizens by building war or by insulting them, by coming on national television to denigrate people, bring down their names and tell them that they are winners or they are whatever names they are called? Look, the governance is a big responsibility. I've spoken about the principle of burden and benefit. First thing that comes upon the shoulder of people elected to lead the society is the burden of leadership. When I make an example of comparing engineering or technical team to a government solving a problem, when a person solves the problem, his pride goes up, his joy comes in. When the person continues to give excuses, it's just a matter of time. You'll be asked to leave his post. I don't know who is holding people, government, or leadership accountable in Nigeria as a society. Because as citizens, there is no platform, or there are no platform for us to ask questions, and no platform for us to engage this and demand for resolve. This is the only thing that can motivate the young people. I've interacted with quite a number of them, and I know that many of them are willing to see a society that works. But what they need is a leader that can champion them, a leader that can give a vision and be able to communicate his own vision to them and be able to inspire them to follow, to achieve that vision, because it's going to be for the benefit of the people. If the people can find that, look, we are stakeholders in this business, if the people can see that this nation belongs to all of us and everything that is working in the system is working for their own benefit. If the people can see that government is taking their own things as a priority, I will make a mention this. I spoke to on camera to tell me earlier that for the past 4 months, Matthias Tagoda is sitting in front of you. I have not seen electricity supply in my house. How do you motivate the people in my area to be committed to whatever government has to say? These are the things, these are the core issues that need to be addressed. If the citizens can find a platform for them to be able to express themselves that will support their dream, that will support their aspirations, everybody will be on board. But if it is something that is just for the purpose or for the sake that is existing for government officials alone, when you have a situation where the president of the country is budgeting 100 and something million naira to buy kitchen utensils, or they are budgeting billions to fix the Aso Rock clinic, and we are not seeing results, and seeing the president flying abroad to go and have a medical health check. How do you motivate the citizens to support whatever, or to even listen to what the government has to say? If the president comes out today to say he's addressing the country, you'll find that the majority of people will turn off their television. People will rather walk on the streets than to be engaged in listening to what he has to say. I look forward to the day when the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will want to address this country, and the streets of our nation will be empty because people want to listen to what their leaders say. The words of a leader are very powerful. It's not just bowing to say, I will do this, I will do this, and at the end of the day, nothing happens. If we want to engage the people, begin by having a proper communication system. If it is possible, let the media team of the president begin a weekly media briefing and tell Nigerians what the president has done in the week and what the president intends to do in the coming week. And the support that they need.
Okay, just a little bit. I think Markwe's got some questions as well. Markwe?
Well, just, I feel Mr. Sado's pain. If you haven't had electricity in a while, I mean, that can be a lot. But, the decay in the local government have been on for a while. It didn't just happen with the coming or the advent of these particular governors. I mean, it would seem that there's been a systemic decay even before the return to democracy. And in the return to democracy, it would seem just solidified the death knell, or spelled the death knell, it would seem, for local government. And what we have is just, caretaker chairmen, so to speak. And in places where the elections are conducted, those elections, we've seen the outcome of the elections. Oftentimes, I think the guest in the studio spoke of loyalty to the governor instead of loyalty to the people. Big questions there. So how do we begin to address what it will seem is a long-term decay in the local government, which is also translating into the insecurity that we all seem to be experiencing across the country?
Thank you, Margaret. You see, the issue is these problems are, they are kind of very, very, they've been with us for a very long time. And yes, if we want to address it, we need to be able to, at the moment, use the challenges that we are facing as a country to holistically begin to look at the solutions for these problems from the basic, or from the first principle, from the basic principles of being able to elect your own representative, even in your own small community. We need to be able to do that. But first and foremost, there has to be a system, there has to be a commitment from the leadership of the country that will be able to stand and stamp his foot on ground and say, this is what I want to achieve. If you are able to mobilize the Nigerian people to achieve anything, I don't see anything in this world that can stop us. First assignment, first responsibility. How do you motivate the citizens of this country to believe in the words of the leaders? And that is why I'm saying that the beginning would be there has to be a constant communication. And what I'm talking about is not some political jingle. I'm talking about a very heartfelt information that comes from the seat of power to the citizens, and be able to motivate them and be able to get them to be interested in the leadership system in the country. Quite frankly, if you look at the way the whole system is at the moment, the country is, like the chap in Lagos said, the country is being controlled by just about less than 5% of our population.
Sado,
these people are.
Yeah, pardon me, but we need to wind down, so let's just have him also give his own concluding comment. So what do you want to see in terms of actions? If you are quick things you want to see now, what would those be?
I think that our problem is we like quick fixes. There's no quick fix to the issue here. We must be more strategic. We must have a very long-term approach. There are a number of issues we need to look at. We need to look at the defense industry in Nigeria. And but
there must be steps that you take towards that long term.
Yes, so let me try and talk about some of the steps. No quick fix. We can't talk it all here in less than how many minutes. First, to the local government issue. I mean, if the local governments are third tiers of government, why is INEC not handling their elections? Maybe let's just say that the state independent electoral committees or commissions are not really independent. So can we consider, because truly the local government is a third tier. So can we look at that in the near term? Now, for security, a lot of things has to happen. I do think that the president, commander-in-chief, has to convey a town hall meeting or a village meeting with every sense of sincerity. He must find a will to sit down with the 5% that didn't vote, or 5% that voted, or the ones that didn't vote, and have honest national conversation. There is no near-term military solution to the problems we are having. The people, if properly organized, will act as force multiplier for the forces we have, who the president have acknowledged are limited in their numbers, also limited in terms of their capability and capacity currently, also knowing that the munitions we need are not off the shelf. So we must think outside the box. Outside the box is looking for a solution, a political solution now. There must be certain concessions. You see, we are 200 million people. There must be some give and take. The president must provide leadership at the top. And lastly, the governors, please, with due respect to their excellencies, enough of the talk. Let us begin to see actions in the states. hold the local government chairman responsible, at least the ones that is not like the Northeast. There are governors who said they will hold certain emirs or village chiefs responsible for insecurity in their domain. Can we see the same thing? Give the local government a marching order. If there's any blah, blah, blah in your local government, we know you are the problem. Whatever solution, political, whoever you need to meet, the leaders of thought, meet the youth, meet everybody, solve the problem. Let's see those marching orders, and let's hope that at least we can give the federal government some breather to be able to address the national issues we have in the Sahel.